여기 쓰는지.
All right, hello.
All right, so let's give the others some time to try thinking about 5 minutes time, or let's say almost 3 minutes time. You should be able to start. All right, I hope that I'm audible. Please can let me know in the chat box if you can hear me, if I am audible. All right, okay, that's great to know that. So today I had few concerns from a mate with regards to C++. So what we are going to do today is that I'm going to take you from scratch with C++. We're going to start from um, the structure of the C++ program. We're going to look at variables. We are going to look at conditional statements, loops, hopefully operators, input and output objects in C++. So that's what we're going to do today. So starting first, kindly let me know if you have any question or anything down there in the chat so that I could help you, or I could help out. Okay, so we're starting. I'm indicate a timestamp so we can start. Okay, All right, so coming back to this, we are looking at the basic structure of a C++ program here. This is just a comment. Let's get rid of it for now. Yeah, I'm using the online compiler www.com. All right, so this is the basic structure of a C++ program. We have here this side having the header file and then the preprocessor directive that helps you expand functionality in a C++ program, followed by using namespace std, which actually helps you. It's a library that helps you use scene and cout objects, and also it helps you create objects and everything in C++. Anything that is, let me use the word object oriented here, because you are seeing that C++ is an extension to the C language, which basically features object oriented concepts. All right. Then we have the main function here, and then we have the followed by the parentheses here, which could have arguments or parameters. Then we come here to our bracket, and in our bracket here we have the return zero. We are going to look at it in details when we get to functions. So inside here is where the body of code would come. So the first thing that we are going to look at today, a cout, or the concept of outputting something, as traditionally known when learning any programming language. The first thing that almost all programming tutors they do is that we teach how to output something to the world. And in order to do that in C++, we use the cout object. So the syntax is cout. We've already defined what the syntax is in an earlier class. We said that the syntax is basically a set of grammatical rules that govern how you use or how you make constructions in a language. So in C++, in order to output something to the real world, you just use the word cout followed by double quotation marks, which indicates a string, which we are going to look at in detail later. So if I say cout hello world here, and then I decide to run and execute this, what is supposed to come out is this word here. See how this word in the brackets. So the moment I run this, you have hello world here. Okay, so let's say you have a problem or you have a question at hand. Let me try to comment here. So let me just try to comment here. So you have been asked to write a C++ program that outputs the name, age, program of study of a student using just the cout object. So let's try to solve this here. So we are writing a C++ program here that outputs the name, age, program of study of a student using just the cout object here. So how do we go about that? I'm saying that the syntax for cout is what? Cout, then followed by two less thans, then as a string, we indicate the double quotation marks here. Then after that, we terminate with what? A semicolon. So let's look at this here. So it says that we need the name of the student, right? So let's say student's name is okay. Let's do this later. We get to the end line. So age of the student. The program of study. Now what is going to happen here when I execute this line of code? When I execute, it's going to print this, but let's see, let's run and see what happens. So you can realize here that they have been printed, but there are no spaces. It's supposed to be spaced out. So what do? We can introduce the n line here. So we just do n line for this. You come here, do the same n line. Come here, you could also do same for this. You just introduce n line here. What is going to happen is that each of these lines of code will be printed on a different line. So we can see here this and this. Okay, so somebody can also decide, or one can also decide to customize it well, and then say, let's say the name is age. And when I run this, you have it here. I hope you cannot see my screen, right? I'm seeing some comments down there. Can we all see the screen, please? Okay. All right. Okay, glad to know that you cannot see the screen. Now, hope you can also hear me, right? Hope everybody's hearing what I'm saying, and then getting along also. Okay. T.I.awareness for Roma. So what we are doing is that per concerns raised, some of your mates are still saying that they are finding it hard to catch up with the C++ that we're doing. So what you're doing here is that you're going through the basics once again, once and for all, the basics of C++. So you're starting from the basic structure of a C++ language or C++ program. Sorry, I will look at the header files, as we indicated earlier, header files, library, standard library, the main function, the body of the code or where the code goes to. And then we have started with cout. Okay, the cout object first. So we are looking at how we are going to output real world messages to the outside world. That is what we are doing. So from there, we are trying to solve this problem here. We have a problem that requires that you write a C++ program that outputs the name, age, program of study of a student using the cout object. Okay, so that is what we are doing, which we are done. And then before I move, I want to ask if everyone is okay. Anyone here has any problem with that still? So we address it before we can move on. Anyone with any problem with that? Kindly let me know in the comment section. So Are we okay? Can I proceed? Martin, I've made you a moderator, so you can also help with any problem in the chat side, anything. You could also come online if you prefer to, or if you choose to come online. It's no problem. You could also come online. Can I proceed now? Is it okay? Can I proceed? Martin, can we move on to seeing? Can you all hear me, please? Martin, are you here? Okay, so I've also made you a moderator, Isaac. So you can also help make all the others moderators, and then we proceed from there, please. Thank you. Okay, so let's get back to the work. So we wrote just a C++ program, right? That outputs the name, age, program of study of a student using just the C out object. That's what we just did for now. So in doing that, um, first the basic structure of a C++, the preprocessor directive and the header files we introduced using namespace std as the library to be able to use objects, or to name objects here, and then also the main function with the body of code. So this is what we did here. The syntax says that we should use the cout object followed by two less thans. Then because you're dealing with a string here, you're not calling a variable, we just use the double quotation here. We write something inside here, then we end it with double quotation. Then we introduce the two less than signs here because you want to use the end line. So what the end line does is that it allows us to have the next line of code. That is this. Move on to the the next line. The moment we take off the end line here, what is going to happen is that sorry, I think I didn't terminate something here. Okay, all right. Let me end this here. All right. So what is going to happen here is that this and this, which are supposed to go on different lines, will be together to come to the same line. So what we just do is that we just introduce the line here. We execute, then we all move on to the next line. Okay. So let's quickly move on to the scene object also. So with the scene object allows us to take in inputs, right? So what is happening here is that this time around you're not just seeing out, you're going to take in an input, and then based on the input, uh, um, you based on the input that comes into the system, you would probably output or perform an operation with the input. All right. So before we go to the scene also, you'd have to look at very important aspect of program, that is variables. So when we say variables, variables are like containers, right? They're like containers that helps us store something, right? So um, if in a comma that we did at SHS, you have something like x equals 5. So what is happening here is that the variable x is assigned the value 5. So this way we call x 5 is coming. Okay, so x is acting as the container, keeping the value at 5. Okay, so in C++, it's the same concept, but just that in C++, there are rules that you are supposed to follow in naming variables. One of the rules are that let me comment here. All right, one of the rules are that let's do a multi-line comment. So when I do all that I'm doing here is I'm commenting. Okay, we are saying that comments are ways that we add kind of description, ways that we describe our codes. And then with comment, what we are saying is that the compiler ignores them. It's not going to execute them. Comments are just for anyone that wants to come and review your code or something. It helps guide them on what each block of code is actually doing in your program. So anytime I do in C++, we have two types of comments, right? We have the single line comments that are just for one line. That is what we can see here. Then we have the multi-line comments. So in order to do the single line comment, you just use two of this. Okay, the slash. So you just do, and then for multi-line comment, we use this and then this, and also this and then this. So we just introduce the slash with an asterisk. Then we come in. So anything that comes here is going to be deemed as a comment. Okay. All right. So let's get back. Let me change the interface. All right, so in variables, there are rules that you must obey when creating variables in C++. Some of the rules are that you don't use keywords in creating variables. So example of keywords are something like cout. You can't create a variable and use cout, or like something like if. You can't do that, because these words hold special meanings to the programming language. Also, secondly, you don't start the name of a variable with a number. Variable name with number. So, example, you can't say one Kofi. Okay. Thirdly, you don't use special. Let's say, let me use the word special characters in a variable. Okay. So there are some special characters like percentages and all this stuff. You don't use them in creating a variable. Thirdly, you don't leave space in a variable. Let's say you don't leave spaces in a variable. Here, all we are saying is that if you want to create a variable, let's say Kofi Ima, you can't leave the space here. Okay, what is supposed to happen is that you either bring it together or introduce an underscore. So the underscore is going to serve as the space for you. And also, one thing that you should also acknowledge in variables is that variables are case sensitive. So here we're saying that KD is not the same as KD. Okay, this is not this, because this here is in lowercase and then this here is in uppercase, so they are not the same. Also, one rule that you should observe when creating variables is that you can actually start the name of a variable with either a letter or an underscore. So you can say a variable can be created with underscore or letter as the first character. So you can have something like underscore KD, something like that is good. You can also even have something like Kofi1. Kofi1 is also correct. You can also use, but the one cannot start the name of the variable. It can actually come in later after the first character. Okay, yeah. So with this knowledge, let's move on and then let's try getting practical with the concept of variables. So first, in order to create a variable, there's a syntax that you must follow, right? The syntax states that first, what should come first is what? The data type of the variable, followed by the name of the variable. So name of variable, let me just do NV for name of variable. Then followed by the assignment operator. Sorry. Then followed by the value to be assigned. So these are the rules basically you are supposed to follow. So first, the data type of the variable, then followed by the name of the variable. Let me get rid of this. Let me just do this. So followed by the name of the variable, then the assignment operator, then the value to be assigned. Okay, so if I want to create a variable, let's say of type integers, right? I just do this int, let's say int number, right? Then followed by the value that I want to assign, let's say int 5. Then I terminate. Sorry, I have to terminate with a semicolon. All right, so following the syntax says that what? The data type of the variable. So this is the data type, that is an integer, followed by the name of the variable, which is num. That is what you use. You can use any other name that you want, followed by the value assigned to the variable, which is 5 in this case, 5 as an integer in this case. So the moment you run and you execute this, nothing is coming because now the computer just knows this, but we actually didn't tell the machine or the language to do anything. We just introduce this variable, just initialize this. So if you want to see out this, or if you want to output the value in this variable here, all we have to do is we have to use the cout as we learned earlier. So cout. Then this time around, we are not using the double quotation. No. This time we are just calling the name of the variable because now your program knows what num is. That num is a variable of type integer with the value 5. So we just come in and just say cout num. Okay. Then you just do this. So the moment you run this, it's going to just cout, yes, the value that we have here. Right. Somebody can even decide to add, or you could decide to add more stuff to make it more interactive or more interesting by saying the value in the variable is, then you could do this. So what you have to do is that because the computer does not know this, right? There is no variable, there is nothing being introduced up yet to tell the computer that this has something. So what do? We can either choose to string them up. So you can just do this. So the moment I space it out here and I run and execute this code, what happens is that the value in the variable is 5. You get it? What is happening here is that this is deemed as a string, right? That is why it's in double quotation. And this here is the variable. Now what happens when I just, let me cut this here and come and put this here? You're going to realize that nothing is going to happen. You're just going to say the value in the variable is num. because this time around the num has been introduced in this double quotation, which makes it what, a string. As such, it's not recognized as the variable here. So if you want that to happen, you just have to bring the num outside. So we let's delete this. Let's bring this outside. We run and we execute. Then it comes here. So that is it for the concept of variables. Let's look at the next thing. I'm going to look at this data types, and then after that, you're going to create different variables for 5 or 6 primary data types in C++. Because I hope we are getting it. I hope it's clear for us, right? Hello, class. Is it clear? Hi, Helena. Could you let us know where your problem is? Could you just type it for us? Where your problem starts from so that we can address it for you, please. Could you just indicate that in the live chat for us? Hi, Helena. Could you let us know where your problem is so that we help you, please? Could you indicate it in the chat session? I'm trying to actually do go live together so that I could hear anybody here. Okay. Okay, I think I have to read more about that. This is the first time I'm trying the YouTube live, so I think I have to read more about that. But let me see. I'm sure that you should be able to record this session. So I'm sure you should be able to do that. But let me see. Let me see if I can get a way around that. If not, you'd go back to our usual platforms and then try that. Then later, when I figure everything out here, you could come and have that done. Okay, so someone just DM me. Let me end this stream. Let me start a new stream. Then let's see if we could have that work for us. Okay. So I'm going to send a new stream to Martin so he shares with us.